I am a police officer for the city of... Hi, my name is Rafael Roca. I am a police officer for the city of Holyoke, Massachusetts. And I'm here to make this video to expose the corruption and the lies and the injustice that is taking place within the police department in Holyoke, Massachusetts. I want to start off by saying that I am a career U.S. Marine. I retired in 2016, and I pursued my lifelong dream of becoming a police officer. However, that dream was quickly affected, and it was hurt by corrupt police officers within the city of Holyoke, Massachusetts. Corruption within the department goes back a long time. It goes back to as long as anybody can remember. I speak to citizens. I speak to former police officers, to retired police officers, and they all say that corruption and racism has taken place within this department for as long as anybody can remember. Currently, we have a police chief. His name is Manuel Febo. He likes to be called Manny Febo. He is, he's been a corrupt chief. He's been a corrupt police officer for a very long time. He has covered up crime within the department. He has protected his friends. He likes to lie. He's just an overall dirty police officer. Most recently, he decided to promote his friend to provisional lieutenant. This is an individual who has lost 2 weapons as a police officer. Well, I'm sorry, I'll take it back. He lost 1 weapon. The other was stolen from his home, and they covered up what took place. And they said that it was lost, when he left it in the back of his pickup truck, when in fact it was stolen from his home when there was a party that took place, and certain individuals stole the weapon, stole a sniper rifle from his home. Later on, a person came forth and said, "Hey, I know where your rifle is at, but I've been arrested and I need help. Can you help me if I tell you what the disposition of this rifle is?" He said, "Yeah," and this person arranged to have the rifle found and turned in, and then, the story was that, hey, certain person lost his rifle because he left it in the back of his pickup truck and left the tailgate down, drove off, and the rifle fell out, X, Y, and Z, BS. When in fact, the rifle was stolen from his home when there was a party that his son was having, and certain individuals stole the rifle from his home. The corruption continues to this day. This person is now the police chief. Manny Febo is now the police chief. He has continued to cover up for his favorites. We, not that long ago, had a police detective who had weapons and equipment stolen from his vehicle, which was parked in front of his home, or in the vicinity of his home. This vehicle ended up in Hartford, Connecticut. It was reported stolen. However, the weapons and the equipment was not found. This was covered up. This was never put out to the public. This detective was able to essentially keep his job without any repercussions, without any discipline, and he continues to be a police officer. In addition to that, this police chief, Manny Febo, likes to attack officers who speak out, like myself. I have spoken about the injustice and the racism and the favoritism and the nepotism that happens at the Holyoke Police Department, and because of that, I've been punished. I've been shunned. I've applied to different police departments to transfer out. I've had that sabotaged by the police chief. He has said that I'm a bad police officer who has problem with citizens and co-workers. However, in 5 years, I've never been written up. I've never been punished. I've never been suspended. I've had one formal complaint. In addition to that, I've had one informal complaint, which the police chief decided that instead of investigating that informal complaint, he was going to impose his own punishment, and he decided to have me taken off of the road, put into an per se administrative role, and for about a month and a half, I worked inside. Keep in mind, I was, if not the most proactive, one of the most proactive police officers in the Holyoke Police Department. For every year that I've been a police officer, I've led the department with the most arrests, the most traffic stops. And this is not because I target people, and this is not because I am a bad police officer, but it's because I do my job. I do a job that the city of Holyoke pays me to do. Instead of sleeping in my cruiser and ignoring crime, I chose to be a proactive police officer and engage in crime fighting. And because of that, I have been punished. I have been shunned. I've had background investigations for other, for employment in other police departments, sabotage. While you have other officers within my department who have been involved in drunk driving incidents, you have officers who have assaulted people with their boats, who have been labeled as racist. You have had people who have stolen money. You tell me how there is a police department, how there are police officers, municipal. We're not talking about state or federal law enforcement officers. We're talking about municipal police officers that have made in excess of $260,000 a year, and nobody has said anything about it. Most people are afraid to speak up about it. People have been threatened. Officers have been punished for speaking up. And I'm one of those officers. In the 5 years I've been there, I've been, Lord Jesus Christ, I've been accused of, God knows, I've been accused of, by my own police department, I've been accused of being a liar. I've been accused of being a dirty police officer. However, in the 5 years I've been there, I've never been written up. Like I said, before. I've had one formal and one informal complaint, all of which have been unsubstantiated. But I'm a bad police officer because that's what they do. When you are someone who speaks up against the establishment, and when you are someone who speaks up about injustice and corrupt police officers, they label you as a liar. They label you as a dirty police officer. They label you as someone who is untrustworthy, while their friends and the people that are, whether they're family or X, Y, and Z, these people are allowed to literally get away with murder. I've been speaking up about this for a long time, and because of that, I've had supervisors attempt to tarnish my name. I've had supervisors that have lied on the stand. I've had supervisors who have followed the corrupt tendencies of the leadership of the Holyoke Police Department because they're afraid. They're afraid to speak up. They're afraid to stand up for the truth. They're afraid to lose their jobs. At the end of the day, I was very successful before I was a police officer, and I will continue to be successful after my law enforcement career is over. Because of this video, I will probably be fired. I will probably, if I'm not fired, I'll be suspended. Because when you speak up and you expose corruption, that's what they do. They label you a liar. They label you someone who is a piece of crap. I spent an entire career in the Marine Corps. I had an honorable discharge. I deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. I've led Marines in war and in peacetime. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody else, but I served my country and I served it well. I served it honorably. And it sucks when you leave something that you love to pursue other dreams, and just to be, labeled a piece of crap because you speak up about the wrongdoings. Today I was, I guess the straw that broke the camel's back in all of this is that I received a phone call from one of my coworkers today informing me that he was ordered to give me remedial training as to how to apply a tourniquet. For the people that don't know, a tourniquet is a tool that is used to stop the bleeding in an event where trauma takes place. In my situation, January 31st, I responded to a call, which I didn't have to respond. It came right at shift change. I could have easily gone to the station, turned my keys into my cruiser, and gone home. But I decided, because I'm a police officer and I swore an oath to protect and defend the people of my city, the people of the United States. So I responded to this call, and I encountered the victim, which was stabbed on his leg, and he was bleeding. I applied a tourniquet, and all it is just it's a strap. It's a strap. I wrapped it around his leg. I twisted it, and it has this certain mechanism that allows it to twist and put compression into whatever your arm or your leg. In this case, it was his leg, and he stopped the bleeding. And then about a month later, I get a call saying that I needed remedial training. Keep in mind, I spent an entire career in the military where I trained in life-saving techniques, which, one of them was applying tourniquets. And now I'm forced to take remedial training because I applied a tourniquet for, to save a person's life. In the same situation, I received coworkers of mine send me text messages saying, "Hey, great job on treating the victim. Great job on applying the tourniquet to the wound. Awesome job." But because we have a corrupt police chief and he is out to get me, this is what we get. In addition to that, let's go on further and speak about what happens at the Holyoke Police Department. At the Holyoke Police Department, we have a vast misrepresentation when it comes to minority police officers. And what I mean by that is that the Holyoke Police Department at this point is about 50% minority officers. However, about 5 to 10% of minority officers are represented in other positions, whether it be detectives, whether it be people who are in specialized positions, people who are afforded the opportunity to carry special weapons, people who are, who are allowed to have certain patrol areas. We are vastly misrepresented. All too often, we are discriminated against. We are treated as second-class citizens in a city which is, according to national statistics, has the highest percentage of Puerto Ricans of any city in the United States. However, when it comes to our police department, we are often treated like crap. We're treated like garbage. When it comes to when you have a white police officer that does his job, he is rewarded. When you have a Hispanic Puerto Rican police officer and he does the same task, he's treated like crap. For example, I'll talk about my own situation. About 4 years ago, there was a situation where I saved the life of a Massachusetts state trooper. Make a long story short, you could probably go on Google, look it up. And there was a situation where I encountered a driver who was drunk, who was high on drugs, high on pills. He attempted to run myself over. He attempted to run the Massachusetts State Trooper over, and I fired my weapon in a situation where he was going to kill a Massachusetts State Trooper, and I was treated like a piece of crap. I was treated as if I broke the law. In that situation, where I saved the state trooper's life, he was rewarded for his actions that day, and I was forgotten about. And I'm not saying this to talk bad about the trooper. He's a great trooper. He was actually a former police officer of my department. But he was rewarded. He was rewarded for me saving his life, and I was forgotten about. Actually, let me, I've got notes, so. Anyways, fast forward. You talk about the Holyoke Police Department. You have supervisors who attack officers when they try to do their jobs. For example, there are multiple supervisors, but there's a specific supervisor who officers encountered a burglary suspect. This is an individual who was known to have been breaking into homes and businesses. The officers encountered this individual. They called it over the radio and said, "Hey, I've got our suspect, the person who we've been looking for. I'm going to conduct a stop and, speak with this individual." We've had, and during that situation, we've had supervisors from my department who actually got on the radio and said, "Hey, stand down and meet me at such place." After the officer stood down and let the suspect go, they were yelled at, they were ridiculed, they were told that they only are to respond to calls for service and that they're not to engage in proactive policing. And keep in mind, this is a police department. This is a city that historically has been in the top 100 most dangerous cities in the United States. Every year, look it up. FBI statistics, Holyoke, Massachusetts is always in the top 100 most dangerous cities. But we have supervisors that tell officers to stand down. Don't do your job. We recently passed police reform, which holds officers accountable for their actions. Instead of it being welcomed, we had supervisors who picketed against the police reform, and this is reform just to hold officers accountable for their actions. We had officers who stood against it, picketed against it, sent emails saying, "Hey, this police reform is garbage. I need you to stand with me and support certain legislator because he has our backs." And then when nobody stood with that supervisor, he sent another email pretty much attacking all the officers who didn't support him and didn't go out there and picket with him against this police reform. This police reform is something that it's needed. It's something that it's something that we need. We've had a lot of bad incidents happen. Just George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. We can go on and on and on and on. I wasn't there, and I can't tell you what happened. I can tell you what I saw on video. I can tell you that George Floyd was murdered by a police officer, by someone like me who swore to defend and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. I feel embarrassed. I feel that, not enough is done. I feel that we tend to pretend as if there's not a problem, and we attack officers who want to speak up about it. I feel that as if we have a long way to go. I feel as if law enforcement, at least where I'm at, is dominated by predominantly white males. And I'm not making this video as an attack towards white people, because my partner is a white female, an individual that I've trusted my life with, an individual that has responded and has backed me up when I've gotten on the radio and said I need help. So this is not an attack against white people. But there are white people who try their hardest to make it difficult for us, make it difficult for the people who have done the right thing, make it difficult for the people who want to stand up for what's right. Let's see what else, Lord. Stolen weapons, cops that like to beat their wives. I also attempted, my lawyer is going to hate me for this, but I've tried everything. I've tried to sue. I've tried speaking with the supervisors. I've tried to I've tried my union. I've tried it all. I've tried to go to the news, to the press. They want nothing to do with it. But I also attempted to join other police departments. I've tried to become a Massachusetts state trooper. And I've had a corrupt detective who conducted my investigation. His name is Noah Pack. Noah Pack is a dirty state trooper. He's a racist. He violates citizens' rights. He has been sued by numerous citizens for violation of civil rights. However, he is still allowed to conduct investigations within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. In my situation, he lied about my background. He made me out to be a horrible person, all because I am really good friends with his ex-girlfriend, which is my partner. So for whatever reason, he decided to sabotage my investigation. In addition, with the help of certain dirty police officers, certain dirty supervisors within my department, and I was disqualified. I was disqualified from being a Massachusetts state trooper because I was labeled a liar. I was labeled untruthful, and I was labeled a person who is unworthy and unfit of becoming a state trooper. However, fast forward a couple of years later, and I saved the life of a Massachusetts state trooper. However, I'm still not worthy. Later on, I attempted to become a police officer for the University of Massachusetts Police Department. Little to my knowing is that the chief of police, Tyrone Parham of the University of Massachusetts Police Department, is actually really good friends with my police chief. And my police chief essentially told him, hey, this is a bad cop. He's had tons of problems with citizens and other officers, so don't hire him. And that's exactly what happened. Despite them knowing that I have a lawsuit against the state police for discrimination, they decided to, hey, you know what? I guess, you're not what we're looking for. Despite me passing all of their interviews, passed their psychological tests, I passed their medical examination, I was still found unworthy of becoming a university police officer. Just so that I can stay where I'm at and be subject to the punishment of my police chief. What else? Let's see. Like I said, I've got notes. What's ironic? The ironic part is that despite me not being found worthy to be a Massachusetts state trooper, I am still called to translate for the Massachusetts State Police because they operate within my city. and because my city is 50% Puerto Rican, they deal with people who don't speak English, and all too often, I am called to translate for the state police, the same organization that decided to not hire me because I wasn't worthy. Although I saved the life of one of their troopers, although I translate for them all the time. Um, so yeah, I, Lord help me. What else? I've looked through YouTube. I've attempted to find current police officers to speak about the corruption and the injustice that takes place when they're within their departments, and I had a hard time finding that. Do what you want with it, with this. Um, I I'm done. Whether I have a job or not next week, that's irrelevant. I I've tried. I've tried hard. I've tried to do my job. I've tried to stand up for what's right. I've tried to speak up for injustice. I've tried to speak up against corruption. Nothing has worked. Perhaps this will work. I pray that something comes of this. I pray that the Holyoke Police Department is audited by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I pray that the FBI investigates. I pray that something is done. For too long, officers have been afraid to speak up for whatever reason. I'm not knocking anybody for not choosing to stand up for what's right. It's about, I think, 5 in the morning, and I've gone back and forth for the last 5 or 6 hours as to whether I should do this video or not, and here it is. I'm pretty tired. I'm tired of fighting for what's right. I'm tired for representing something that is unjust. I'm tired for being a part of something that is corrupt. And I don't know. I don't know what's gonna come of this. Share it. Talk about it. I'm the American dream. If you think about it, I am a Puerto Rican American. I was born in Puerto Rico. I was raised in Queens, New York. Single mother home. Father was in prison. I moved back to Puerto Rico. I enlisted into the Marine Corps from Puerto Rico. I didn't meet my father until a few years ago in prison, actually, and he has since passed away. My mother has also passed away. Despite that, I was able to become somebody, and I was able to push past all the obstacles and make something of myself. I've been pretty successful, and I don't blame anybody for any injustice. In the sense that I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim of oppression. This is the land of the free. And while it's hard for people that have the same color skin that I do, to become something of themselves. It's not impossible. I think as time has passed, you know, it's become easier for us. And like I said before, man, this is nothing against white people. Some of my best friends are white. But let's not forget that there are some people who are white that try to make it hard for us. But it's neither this or that. Like I said, do what you want with it. Maybe I'll have a job next week. Maybe I won't. I'm good regardless. I fought hard in the military. I fought hard in my job as a police officer. I tried, but it's hard. It's hard to persevere. It's hard to defend people. It's hard to stand up for injustice when you have a whole establishment against you. And the sole reason that they're against you is because you speak up about what's right and what's not. So, Lord, I don't know. I hope that the Attorney General of Massachusetts investigates the Holyoke Police Department for corruption, for theft of overtime. Internal affairs is as corrupt as can be. They pick and choose who they want to discipline and who they don't want to discipline. It's as bad as it can get. So I leave you with this, do what you want. We protested in my department when George Floyd died. I hope that the public comes out and protests against all this injustice and racism that takes place within the department. I ask that you don't attack individual police officers, because the vast majority of us want to do a good job, and we do a good job. However, we are limited because of our leadership. I ask that you ask for accountability from our elected officials. Our mayor, he's somebody special. He's been the mayor of Holyoke for about 10 years, Alex Morse. And while I haven't had any bad experiences with him, I don't think that he's done much to help the city of Holyoke. He is now going to be the town manager of I think Provincetown. I might be wrong, in Massachusetts, but he's going to be the town manager of another city in Massachusetts. After he failed in making things better within Holyoke, he ran for a state senate seat, and he lost. And a lot of things have come out during his campaign. Things which, well, I'm sure you can look up, man. You can do your own research. This is nothing against the mayor. However, I think that there are things that he could have done to make things better within our city. He last year published a letter making discrimination a some sort of national emergency, which is true. If you think about it, it's Yeah, absolutely, racism is a major issue within the country, within our city, but he fails to address it within his own police department. So I waited to make this video until after he ran for whatever state senate seat, which he lost, so that way it didn't, you can't say that this affected him. But we need a mayor who cares about the citizens. We need a mayor who wants to hold police officers accountable. We need a mayor who appoints police chiefs that are gonna properly manage their police department. He recently appointed a police captain within our department who is he's been the subject of some of the things that I've spoken about. He's never done anything personally to me, but I think that the mayor should have waited to he should have waited for the new mayor to be appointed and allowed that mayor to elect his police chief instead of electing a police chief 6 months before he's gonna move on to a different position. That's just me. So I guess that's it. Holyoke, Massachusetts, it's a corrupt city. The vast majority, or a large portion of employees that work at City Hall have left their positions recently. Rumor has it that some sort of FBI investigation is coming down into the mismanagement of funds, police corruption. I don't know. I just know that there's been a bunch of city officials that have resigned. I know that there's been a bunch of career police officers that have recently retired. And one can only speculate as to why that is. Once again, I'll leave you guys to come up with your own conclusions, investigations. But yeah, so Holyoke, Massachusetts, it used to be called Paper City. It should be called Corrupt City for its corrupt police department. If anybody has any questions about anything else, you know where to find me. Rafael, Rafael, last name Roca, Roca. If you have any questions, come find me. That's it.